One of the things that we do to kick off the beginning of every week is to see where we have obvious areas of support and resistance in channels or ranges. We do this on a 4-hour time frame since that will give us the best 3 to 5 day outlook. So let's get to it. We're going to map in all those areas for the week ahead, and we're going to toss on Sonar, which is that blue squiggly line that you see where price could head if obeying the natural frequency waves of the market. If you have not seen or learned how we draw in support resistance, the important rules behind them and why we do it this way, it's much less ambiguous. So I want you to watch this video here. Now we'll cover both futures and Forex, but oil has been on quite the run, and although we like to look at the 4-hour, nothing is screaming that is so obvious. So we're going to look at the daily for this one, and just to get a good idea of where the next really strong level of resistance or support would be. So of course, having that drawn in, we can see that we could use a much more higher value around 85, although this might be better for more of a weekly resistance than a daily, but support, really does look to be the stronger of the two. We're not, of course, that close to either one, so we'll have to see where this goes in the week ahead. The euro has also been on quite a run lately, especially with the ECB news that we had last week and the continued weakness of the US dollar. We really have to go to a daily basically here to see any resistance that isn't until 135, whether we like that or not. Support is painfully obvious, and although it's a longer term hold, we're basically stuck here in the middle. Now the pound is a little bit more difficult because resistance wouldn't be the best, although we do have some nice support way down there. Looking at it more from an intraday, we expect it to start to run out of steam only above 145, but since we're a little far away from that, we're just going to set up an alert, as it would be a good idea in case we get up to around those levels to revisit it. Now the US yen is quite nice for its area of support, and I would expect it to go deeper into those levels, closer to around that 107 area. The resistance isn't too bad, so the overall range looks quite nice. What's going to probably determine this reversal is watching and see what happens on the stock market, so keep an eye out for that this week to see what happens there. If you're in our morning meetings, you might know that 1361 was that reversal area that we were expecting based off previous highs. We're since pulled back from that, but we might get a retest. Otherwise, support does look alright, although I doubt we will get down there anytime in the next week or two, given that this is a 4-hour chart. So keep an eye on that resistance. Resistance again, drawing from the furthest pip out to where most of those candlesticks touch, is showing us a clean reversal for the Australian dollar. Now we do have very little news out at the beginning of the week until Tuesday's US dollar news. Later after that, we get some Australian news, so we could see this pull back or break through the top of the range. One thing is for certain though, it's probably likely to move this week sooner rather than later. The euro yen is a little bit more difficult because you can draw this in a range, and we'll put that in here first, but you can also draw it as a channel. Now it's not so clear, and when something isn't clear, that should be sending a message to yourself saying that you might want to flat out ignore this until clarity comes through for you. We finally got that bounce off support, but right now we're sitting near the tractor. We're quite far from support or resistance, so we'll have to watch it to see where price goes. Nothing of interest in the short term, but very interesting once we get into resistance or support. Our support level for the smaller time frames was taken out this past week, meaning that we have a potential to drop in quite a bit. We're really far from any sort of major support resistance here, so take that into consideration, as price can go in one direction for a pretty long time before you get any sort of a major pullback. The Kiwi dollar, on the other hand, has a lot of potential if we can get above 74.50 for resistance. There's a much lower chance we'll hit near support, though we will have to see how the resistance level plays out. But again, this is a pretty easy one to draw in, so hopefully you're getting a hand of how we draw in our support and resistance level zones. Now, if you're in for trading some of the 10-year T-notes or just curious on what's going on there, we do have some big support levels near the 120 handle and looking at price touching that area. Okay, resistance is up near about 130 and it's quite a ways away, but it does seem to be some clean support and resistance. Well, Aussie Kiwi put in some nice support earlier in January. We'll have to see where price goes since we're a bit further away from support and resistance, but the levels are really good, so make sure that you have your alerts set up. The CAD yen, as you can see, has had some great resistance where the support hasn't been that great, and that's actually where price seems to be heading. So we'll keep an eye out here, but we'll like to see price closer to resistance than to support. So don't forget to subscribe if you want more of these Outlook videos and to see where those major support resistance levels are. That might be helping you during the week. We'll see you guys in the next video, and of course any questions, feel free to leave a comment below.